that my horses use my fence as a revolving door. Well, we have been working toward that end. And I've learned a few things. First of all, the next Saturday, 3 guys showed up. There was Wynn, Dylan, is he here? And Mark Rankwitz. They showed up to help me drag some logs. We cut and dragged a bunch of logs. And I learned that in one day, there was more done than in 2 weeks following. That 4 people can do a whole lot more than just one. All right. I thought, well, that's pretty smart. That'll preach. But where? Something else I learned. That when one horse is the culprit that gets out all the time, if you just sell that horse, you won't have that problem a lot. We did that. We unloaded 3 horses on some unsuspecting feller. Didn't tell him about the fence breach. I'm joking, I did. But we sold 3 of the ponies that were getting out. So we're good on that front. So I sat every morning. There's nothing like drinking coffee cooked over a campfire, watching the sun come up and talking to God. I didn't get to do that. We were a burn ban in our county, so mine was a propane stove on top of my truck bed. But I did have campfire coffee every morning, talk to God, watch the sun come up. How can there be an atheist? I mean, come on. Sunrise, God, and coffee. God has the perfect mixture. But I'm talking to God and I'm saying, Lord, I need direction. I need to know what I'm supposed to be doing. I need to know what you want me to do. And I keep going back to all the times that I've preached and said that Christianity, being a Christian, is a verb, not a noun. That Christ said, go, make disciples of all nations. Go and make disciples of all nations. Baptize them and teach them. All verbs. So Christianity is defined by verbs. Not, well, I do my part. Sunday morning I put my Christian hat on. I go to church. I sit there and I listen to Russ sing. And then I listen to Jay run his head a little while. And then I leave and go back home. And I can do what I want to, because now I'm a Christian. That is not it. That is not it. Being a Christian is action. Go, make, baptize, and teach, right? So I'm thinking, Lord, I need that direction. So it gave me an analogy. Now, I'm stuck because my car won't run. It's a manual transmission for all of you under 30. It's a transmission where you have to push your clutch and change gears. And you can start it just by pushing it. Alright? So, my truck needs to be cranked. I said, hey, could you help me out? Could you give me a push? Yeah, sure. Sit in there and steer, guide the vehicle while I push. And I get in here, and I got the clutch in, and I got it in gear, and I'm waiting. And I look back, and my help's sitting on the bumper. Hey, buddy, aren't you going to push? I'm waiting for you to guide it. When you give me some guidance, I'll push. And that's what we've been doing. As Christians, that's what we've been doing. We've been sitting here saying, Lord, I need you to guide me. Anytime now. I'm ready. But the fact is, God says, I want you to go. He gave us guidance. I want you to go and make disciples of all nations. All right, Matthew 28:19. Okay, y'all can read that there. I want you to go make disciples of all nations. But here's the thing. We're trying to build a church. Now, we're not trying to build a kingdom of Narrow Trail Cowboy Church, by the way. We're trying to build a small part of the kingdom of God. Okay? God is not some obscure, abstract being that is somewhere in the outer limits of space that's watching us. No. God is a true living being. He created earth. He lives here. He lives in amongst us. He lives with us, in us, around us. He is everything on this earth. So, we're saying, he says go. Just start motion. Okay? Until you start pushing my truck, I cannot lend guidance. Until my vehicle is in motion, I cannot steer it. And anybody who's tried to steer a car without power steering while it's sitting still knows what I'm talking about. I had a tractor with no power steering. You put any kind of weight on the front, forget about steering it. Unless you're moving. You have to have forward motion to lend guidance. We're building a church. How many people does it take to grow a church? All of them. Thank you. All of them. Can I, as a pastor, grow this church like it should be? I mean, how many people live in Plano? No, I mean, how many people other than the population live in Plano? I got a show of hands. 270,000? How many people do you think are not at church on Sunday morning?
269.
269,000? Think about it. Can I, as a pastor, evangelize 200,000 people? No. No. Now, could Christ himself evangelize a world just by himself? Of course he can. Come on, he's God in the flesh. He could do that. But he chose a team. He chose 12 guys. In chapter 9, he sent them out. Luke chapter 9, he sent them out. He sent them out on a mission to evangelize all the people in Judea and the Israelite people. He chose to send them out to evangelize. He chose a team of 12 people. Test. Who can name all the 12 apostles? I'm joking. I can't even name them all. So, he sent 12 guys out. He chose a team. And as his group got larger, one chapter after this, his group grew so much, he was able to send out 72. But he sent them in teams of 2. Go out 2 by 2 into the cities. Why would he send out 2 people? Back up. Because you need a team. In the military, you always have a battle buddy. I love that phrase, that analogy, because you always have a battle buddy. And I'm telling you the truth. He is always there, he or she is always there If you go out to the bathroom and you're out in the combat, they go with you. If you go to chow, they go with you. Why? Because you're watching their back, they're watching yours. I just heard about, now, combat veterans come back with PTSD. One of the big things about PTSD is guys cannot sit with their back open. They have to sit against the wall. Well, trained service dogs now, with guys with PTSD, that you walk into a restaurant and you sit down, the dog automatically turns, sits behind you, facing the other way. That's what you did in the Army. When I was a grunt, we were walking with packs and walking many miles. Every time we took a break, two of us sat back to back with our rucksacks. Why? Gives you back support. Also gives you support the other way. Teams of two. But then in Ecclesiastes 4:12, I said this many times, Ecclesiastes 4:12, Solomon was talking. He said, hey, he said two, or I'll start at 9, he said two are better than one because they have a good return for their work. If one falls down, his friend can help him up. But pity the man who falls and has no one to help him up. Also, if two go down together, they will keep warm. To lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Although one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A rope of 3 strands is very rarely broken, or is not quickly broken. So he sends them out 2. How's that a rope of 3 strands? Oh, you're failing this test. God, thank you. See, you got an A. You got an A. A rope of 3 strands. Me, my battle buddy, and God. We should, as a church, we should talk to people. Hey, man, you're going to be my battle buddy. We're going to go out and we're going to talk to people for God. How many of us have talked to somebody, and I've said this before, talked to somebody in Walmart and prayed with them in Walmart? Or how many of us have gone into a gas station and somebody's standing there and you start talking to them, hey man, you know, Jesus Christ is your Savior? How many times has God told you, hey, I need you to walk up to that person right there, talk to them about God? And we say, no, I can't do that. I'm embarrassed, I can't do that. You know, there's a place in the Bible where he talks about that. And we keep saying that, oh, I can't do that. I'm embarrassed. Because we're going to be before the Lord one day. And we're going to say, Jesus, can't you tell him I'm a Christian? Jesus is going to say, I can't do that. I'm embarrassed. Go find this. Find it. If you are ashamed of me before man, I will be ashamed of you before the Father. It's in there. Trust me. I'm not giving you the verse, chapter and verse. Why? Because you got a concordance. It's there. But he sends them out 2 by 2. Let me tell you something. He had people in teams all the way back since the beginning of time. He had Adam, who was alone. So what did he do? He sent Eve. Even Moses. Moses went to free the people from Israel. He went to free the Jewish people from Israel. What happened? I can't do it. I can't talk right. God said, don't worry about it. Your brother Aaron's going to help you. So he goes up there and him and Aaron go before Pharaoh. And after all that rigmarole, they get them all freed. And they're going down through there. And what happens? They have to go and fight folks. He needs help. Aaron's a priest. He ain't going to fight. Who's going to help him? Joshua steps up to the plate. Joshua and Caleb. They needed help. So folks stepped up to the plate. He had a team. How about Paul, the man who wrote most of the New Testament, man who was on fire for God, the Apostle Paul? He had help. Did he do it by himself? No. He had help. Who helped him? Barnabas, Silas, Timothy, Mark, Titus, Luke. He had a team. We're building this church right here, and we need things to move forward. And we try to get ministry teams together so that I don't, by the way, I don't run Narrow Trail Cowboy Church. That people have asked me that before. Do you run the church? No. No, I run my mouth. Okay? We have people who are smarter and more qualified than I to actually run the church. They're called ministry teams. And we have those. But the problem is they end up being a team of one. And what I'm saying is, how can we claim to be Christians, claim to be followers of Christ, claim to want to do what He says, yet we're not willing to step up and begin forward motion? God, give me guidance. And the only guidance we're real wanting is to the coffee pot. We can't do that. We cannot sit back and watch Christianity happen. It doesn't work like that. You have to be a part. How many of us, if we went to work every day and sat there and did not contribute, would have a job tomorrow? Okay, unless you're a politician. How many? Zero. If you did not contribute to the growth of that company, they're going to put you out and put somebody that will. And we're not going to do that. We won't put you out of the church. We might flog you a little bit. But we won't put you out. Seriously though, how can we confess to be Christians, but we're not willing? See there? How can we profess to be Christians, yet we're not willing to get out there and do it? Get out there and be a Christian. Now here's the thing. And I was running this past PJ, and we were talking back and forth while I would come from my leper colony from across the street because I'm in poison ivy. So I got my leper colony set up, and I would come across, and they would walk out, put my food on the back of my truck, and then back away. I kept wanting to hug, and they would run away. Felt like I had leprosy. So, but we would talk, Distance and I would be talking to her, and she said, well, and she's good at playing the devil's advocate. What if they don't know what to say? Well, what if they're unsure of how to approach someone? If someone asks a question about our faith, what if they just don't know? They're simple. It's a simple solution. Talk to David, talk to Gwen. We've got a class. What we believe. Right? We're going to do this class. And it tells you step by step why we believe what we do. Where it is in the Bible. Excuse me. What do we believe? Why do we believe that? Okay, beyond that, well, how do I start talking to someone? You ever walk up to somebody who's wearing a Texas Aggie shirt and say, hey, you go to Texas A&M? Sometimes they say, no, somebody made me wear this shirt. Or, yeah, I went to Texas A&M. Or if you're like from University of Texas, you walk up, you punch them in the face and say, hey, you know, I like Texas A&M or something. I mean, how do you start other conversations? Walk up and open your mouth. How did Moses know what to tell Aaron when he went before Pharaoh? They didn't. They didn't know. They just walked up and trusted God to give them the words. And if you've got a team, here's another thing. If you've got somebody beside you, you don't feel so alone and vulnerable. I mean, if you walk out and you see a guy that's all, you know, full sleeves tattoo and, you know, big long earrings and a thing on his chest that says, I hate Christians. You don't want to walk up alone and talk to him. But you know what? You really should walk up and talk to him. Hey, dude, you know those people you hate? Yeah, I'm one of those. I like your tats. That's cool. Have I done that? No. I haven't saw anybody that says I hate Christians. But I don't mind talking to anybody. And you might say, well, that's your job. Really? No. No. My job is to stand and lead a church by example. My job is to stand and profess the word of the Lord, the truth as it's been revealed as it's been revealed to me through Christ. It's my job to read this Bible, to pray, to ask for guidance, and to move so He can guide. We took Kirsten out to her 13th birthday last night. First time she'd ever been to a real live play. Right? And our son came, and we got to talking and reminiscing. The first Sunday that I was to preach here, it was the last Sunday of April, 2009. And got a call, said, hey, can you cover me for 4 weeks? Not a problem. I went in there and I told PJ, I said, hey, we're going to preach near to our Cowboy church for 4 weeks. She said, okay. And she said, well, you know we just spent a whole lot of money. We ain't got no money for gas this time for that. I said, yeah, I know. And our son, who has not yet given his life to God, he's listening to this. And I said, I ain't worried about it. I'll take care of it. And the mail lady came through and stuck mail in there, and I walked over there and I pulled out a check of an overpayment that we had no idea was coming. And I walked back, I opened it up and handed it to my wife. Our son said, did you know that was coming? I said, no. So I talked to him, trying to explain about faith. And he said, you really expect God to pay your bills? I said, yes. I expect God to pay my bills. Now, it's my part to go out and do work and earn the money. But I expect God to ensure I have enough work to pay my bills. And he laughed at me. And then this past month, he ran into a similar situation and went to the mailbox and he had a check. And he didn't know it was coming. And he told me, he said, you know, I laughed at you then. He said, now I laughed at myself now because it happened just like it happened to you. That's faith. If God says, I want you to jump through that wall, my job is to leave the ground. His job is to make a window. If God says, I want you to charge the gates of hell with a squirt gun, I'm arming myself and I'm headed out because I'm going to use ice water in it because you want me. And it's His job to take care of me if He sees fit. When we ask for guidance and we pray and say, Lord, what direction do we need our church to go? And God gives us that direction. We need to move in that direction. If we step out saying, Lord, I think this is how you want me to go. I'm going to go out there because I believe you're telling me to, and we take a step. If it's not what God wants us to do, but we're doing it for God and God alone, He'll turn us around. And He'll do it painlessly. But if we say, you know what, God, I want to do this for you, but I want somebody to see me doing it, and take a step, and it's not what God wants you to do, He's going to say, okay, that first step's going to be rough on you, bud. Why? Because we're not doing it for Him, we're doing it for us. When I surrendered to the ministry, that's the one thing I made sure of. I talked to the pastor of the church I was going to, I talked to my dad, I talked to another pastor. I said, I think this is what I'm supposed to do. What am I supposed to do? And all three of them said the same thing. Why do you want to be a pastor? I told them all three, I don't. Why do you think that? Yeah, I think this is what God is saying. Are you doing it because you want to be in front of people? No. No. I would rather be invisible in the back. All right? If you're doing it and you think God's calling you to do it, you're not doing it for yourself, do it. Try. Just step out there and try. And I took a step and God has caught me every time. And every time He says, go here, go there, and I say, you know what, I'm not going to question, I'm going to go. And He's caught me every time. There have been a few times He has let me fall on my knees because I got a little full of myself. But then I turn around and say, God, I understand. Now, have I done this alone? Am I a pastor and I'm doing this? No. There's three strands here. I have myself. I have my wife. And I have God. My wife is as much a part of my ministry as I am. And she is the one that when God calls me to do something and there's something on that ranch that needs happening, she says, go, I've got this. I don't have to worry. If God says, I need you to move to, I'm not going to say Oklahoma because He wouldn't do that to me. God says, I want you to move to Montana. I would tell my wife we're moving to Montana. And she'd start packing. Why? Because she is a part of our ministry. She wouldn't say, well, have fun, Jack, because I ain't moving up there, it's too cold. We'd buy some flannel drawers and go. Teams. Teams, groups of people are how we succeed. One can be overpowered. Two can defend themselves. And a rope with three strands is not easily broken. We have ministry teams. We need help. We need people to step up and say, I want to be a Christian. I want to help go, baptize, make, teach. I want to be that verb. I don't want to be a noun sitting on the back row. Today, if you think that God's calling you than He is. If you think God's not calling you, you're wrong. How about that? Life to me is black and white. There's no gray areas. Okay? God's calling you today to do something. And it's not to sit and guard a piece of real estate there. It's to become an action for God. And I've noticed, like I said, 4 people did more work than 1 did in 2 weeks. Why? Because there's more hands, there's more eyes, there's more brains. There's a whole lot more brains than it wasn't me in the world. But we got it done. When I'm alone, I have to be careful because, you know, as I'm cutting these big cedar logs, I'm thinking, okay, if something happens and this rascal falls on me, I've got to wait till like after supper time when PJ says, that rascal ain't come back yet. Let's go see if he's okay. Because my phone's in the truck. If it happened to me at night after supper time, I have to wait till after breakfast. That's a long stretch. So I have to be careful and watch what I'm doing in order not to fall under a log, not to fall into a place where I cannot get out of it. While the other guys were there, shoot, everybody was watching. Well, you know, I'll ever phrase that. Gwen was watching real close. The 2 guys under the tree, yeah. Me, most of the time I was going, I don't want to see this one. Honestly. We watched each other, and we got a lot of stuff done. God's calling you. He's saying, join a team. Get together. Be fruitful and multiply. Remember that part in there? Be fruitful and multiply. Go in there and listen to what Jesus said about the limb that doesn't produce fruit. Tell you what, I'm going to stop there. If you believe God's calling you today, if you have not stepped up, if you think, hey, you know what, I think I can do something, and you want to start some forward motion, I'm going to go back there to the back, and I'm going to wait for you. If you're thinking, hey, you know what, I've never accepted Christ as my Savior, but I want to so I can step up and I can be a part, I'm going to go back there and talk to me. You don't want to talk to me? That's okay. I don't care. Talk to somebody else, though. But don't leave here. Please don't leave here without knowing that you're following everything God has you to do. And He's got the rule book right here.